For today's pick a card reading, we are using the Animal Magic Oracle cards to pick out our 3 different decks. I'll go over them in just a second, and I'll give you some of the meaning behind the cards and give you a second to look at the card and figure out exactly which one resonates with you a little bit more. And then you can go ahead and fast forward to whichever one really resonates with you in the video. I'll have it in the description. So the first card we have here is Horse. The message behind this is endurance. I have the stamina to realize my potential. That's what we have for the first one. For group number 2, we have Rabbit. Fearlessness. Fear does not control me. I release my fear. And then for the third group, we have Hummingbird Joy. My joy is the gateway to a life of abundance. So I want you to think about that for a little bit and figure out exactly which one that you want. Rewind if you want to get that message again, that affirmation that goes with it. And we'll go ahead and jump into group 1. So for the Horse, I wrote some extra notes here. I wrote, you are close to the end, don't give up. Rest is crucial to build strength and endurance. You have carried yourself through so much. I just really want you to have that reminder that you have done a lot. I'm getting the sign of people who have been in school for a long time, or who have been like working towards a specific goal for a long time, and you're close to the end and you're definitely feeling overwhelmed by how much effort you've put into this. And so you're like getting tired. You're getting senioritis. I don't know if you've heard of this, but it's something you get whenever you're in school and it's your senior year and you just like don't want to put in as much effort. So that's like where you are right now. Also, someone who personally like has gotten multiple degrees, always at the end, whenever you're so close to graduating, your life just has to fall apart for some reason. And it's like, I'm so close. Why couldn't this wait until later? Like, why does my life have to fall apart right at this moment whenever I'm so close to finishing this thing? Like, all of those feelings are valid. So we're going to jump into it a little bit more here. I have Queen of Wands. I think this is you. Yeah, it says Muse, Visionary. I think that you're somebody who definitely, you always have a goal and you're always pursuing something, and you're also good at a lot of things. I have that as well. You're very passionate and you have like a deep understanding of like the way different processes work and stuff like that. Like you are a vital person to have as a part of a team. I have here Queen of Swords. Wow. This reading is really gassing you up because it's also saying as well that you are somebody who's very wise and knowledgeable. So I think that you bring both of those things to the table. You are extremely passionate. You are a go-getter. And you also are somebody who is knowledgeable and you can communicate these things really well. So you are somebody who is important to have on a team. And that's where I think that endurance comes in, is because you're used to doing the work. You're like, oh, so what? You know, like you're like, that's a part of life. We have to do work. Like that's the energy that you bring. I also am maybe getting that you might be an Aries or a Libra. So you definitely have that, what's it called? The cardinal energy that comes with those cards. So like somebody who's a starter, somebody who's good at being in control, a natural leader. I have here 7 of Swords. Sorry, I had a brain fart. Dishonesty, hidden agendas. So I definitely hidden secrets, but I'm definitely getting the idea here that this might be something that you're dealing with. Maybe somebody is sabotaging you in this aspect here. I have it over by the Queen of Swords. So I'm kind of getting that aspect that maybe this is somebody who feels intimidated by you, and it's because they think that you're smarter than them. So I feel like there's somebody working behind the curtain in this area, and it's to sabotage you because they're intimidated. I don't know a better word for it. They're jealous, they're envious, you know what I mean? So you can have somebody who's kind of trying to stand in your way from that aspect because they just don't have the education or the background that you do, and they're jealous. I have the Hierophant here. Teacher, spiritual guidance. This also represents Taurus, and it also represents fear. So I'm putting it next to that card. So I do get this aspect here of maybe the person who is interfering with you is a Taurus, and maybe they do just feel very jealous. I'm a Taurus, so it's hard for me to admit that we do feel jealous sometimes, but we do. But this card also can be a bit of guidance. So I think that this is an opportunity for you to learn from this moment and learn from the interactions with this person. Like they might be being dishonest and they might be testing you, but you are able to approach the moment with that Queen of Swords energy. You're able to approach it like with articulation, and they're going to look dumb. That's kind of what I'm getting here. They're going to try to do something to you that is going to, they're trying to expose you, you know, or something like that, but they're just going to end up exposing themselves. So I'm kind of getting the energy here to like not give them any energy and just to keep pushing forward towards your goal. Don't like focus on what they're doing because they're just like trying to be messy. I have King of Pentacles here. Like I said, this reading is gassing you up, but King of Pentacles can also represent a boss or somebody who's in charge. It also has that Taurus energy with it and spirit. So there's definitely that drive there with the endurance and this like lesson. I think that the person who's going to definitely like figure out that that person is being dishonest is going to be some sort of like boss or figure in your life. They're going to be the ones to see like what's actually going on. So you're not going to suffer any personal consequences for what this person is doing. It's going to fall back on them. Just make sure not to like buy into it. You know what I mean? And can become competitive with them, because then it just becomes a spiral where it's just like feeding the monster. So definitely like let this person like get egg on their face and let them expose themselves, because the boss is going to see what's going on. I also have drive, practical, and peaceful here. So I'm getting that idea that you just continue to be that peaceful person in your office area or whatever the situation might be, and continue to work on your personal goals. Yep, I have Five of Wands here. I was literally thinking if Five of Wands comes out. This is about competition and being competitive with other people. So definitely try not to let that person bother you to where like you're getting into the situation where you're being competitive with others. I put it right under here, right under the Queen of Wands energy here. So that like really passionate force. I think that because you're really passionate about this, you might have some internal instinct to be competitive, but this is your reminder not to, because your boss is going to see that energy. And to, and if you end up looking messy like they do, it's just not going to look good for you. It's not going to be a good look. Versus if you continue to just like work on your goals and your aspirations, then you, in a way, you can still compete. Like, what's that thing? Like, you know, like killing them with kindness, you know what I mean? So it's like, if you continue to just like do what you need to do and be the person you need to be at work or whatever the situation might be, then you're going to continue to thrive. I have King of Cups reversed here. I think this is telling me like how you might be able to pick this person out, or it might be how you're supposed to interact with them. I have coldness, volatile, immature, overreaction, and manipulative. I'm getting what you have to be towards this person is going to be a little bit cold because they are doing this. Yeah, I mean, I'm placing the card down on top of the Seven of Swords and the Hierophant. So that like, oh, I have here connects wisdom to mercy. Okay. But those two cards associating with each other and this person who is, you know, coming after you, but they're really just like teaching you a lesson. Like this is the universe teaching you a lesson through this person. So how you're going to be able to tell who they are is they're going to be reacting in a very immature way, and they're going to overreact to things that you do. And they're going to try to make you feel crazy or insecure. That's their goal. It's extremely manipulative. So you're going to have to just continue to be strong and remember that you got this, you know what I mean? And remember that you are the knowledgeable one. You are the wise one. You are the, you're the asset, you know? And that's why they're jealous, is because some people would rather work overtime to sabotage other people than just like be a good worker or be a good person. Like it would take so much less energy, but people would rather do that. I usually say this, that I'm like, people will work around the clock to abuse somebody else. Like, if they just put like half of that energy into something good, they could be great, but they won't. They're going to put so much energy, lose sleep, work 180 hours just to make someone else, try to make someone else feel small so they can feel big, rather than just get the education, have the work experience, show up, like just be a supportive person. You know, you can get so far in a work environment by just being supportive and encouraging of other people. You know what I mean? But some people just like refuse to do that. I have Ace of Swords here. So I'm getting like with your boss and this like, I think also your boss is a bit of a mentor for you. And I get Ace of Swords here. So breakthroughs, new ideas, success, clarity on certain things. So I feel like there's going to be a new opportunity that's going to come up for you. And it's going to be as a result of of your education and your experience with that swords. I'm kind of getting, you know, like swords is usually intellect and communication. So I get the feeling that that's going to be the connecting piece of what's going to be this new step for you. And then I have 6 of Cups here. Nostalgia, innocence, family, creativity. Is that protection? Yeah. Protection or projection. I was like, those are going to be 2 totally different readings here. But that's going to be on top of the boss and the competition here. So I get the feeling that with this mentor person, you have this like sort of connection that feels like, I won't say necessarily like a family, but it does feel like you've known them for a long time, you know, is really what I'm getting. Whenever you're with them, it already feels nostalgic. So this might be somebody who is kind of like has a soul tie to you that might be beyond this world. And it could be like from a past life or something like that. You guys have worked together before. So just take that confidence that this person is looking out for you in that way. And let it be that guiding force for you. You know what I mean? And let it be something that gives you confidence in this area and in this situation. Okay, that's all I have for you, group 1. And I'm going to move on to group 2. I'm also going to grab some water. So if you're watching this whole video, please excuse me because I don't really do video editing because it just takes up extra time and extra programs and things. And I'd rather just like do a cold cut, like just get through the reading. So yes, I'm going to drink some water and get some water in from how much talking I've been doing. Oh, and also, sorry, it's my dog. Elsa, it's okay. It's okay, buddy. Yeah, it's okay. She's so cute. Okay, we're moving on. I gotta catch my breath for a second. We're moving on to Rabbit. So we have the Fearlessness card here. And some other notes I wrote here are, fear does not control me, I release my fear. So that was the affirmation we had. Rabbits usually freeze and observe. Worrying about others can be paralyzing. Worrying about what other people think can be paralyzing. Say yes despite your fears. Are you making something bigger than it needs to be? Is your fear preventing you from trying something new? And imagine your fears hopping away. She's getting close to the window. She's so cute. Okay, sorry. Okay, so for group 2, we're going to dig into this a little bit more and the fears and anxieties that you might have about like trying new things and doing some new stuff. This reading kind of feels like it's for me as well because I have social anxiety, but I want to go try to do new things and get more involved locally. I went to the food bank the other day and I was very nervous about it because I had never been to this location and I didn't know what the protocol was. I didn't know who was going to be there. And so I just went and it was totally fine. You know what I mean? And something I told myself in that right before I went was you only have to do this for the first time once. That's something I usually tell myself whenever I want to go start doing something new, but I'm getting so anxious about it. The fear of the unknown is a big one for me. Like, I just don't know how it's going to be. I don't know where to park. I don't know this. I don't know that. And it can really like start to paralyze me. And so if you're watching this reading, I get the feeling that you have similar things happen where you just get like so boggled down and worried. The first card I have here is 5 of Cups. And I feel like this energy for us comes from past experiences with people and just feeling like overall disappointed and hurt by the people in our past. And kind of like that association with those people has brought on new anxieties that you might not have had before, or might have exasperated anxieties you already had. I think for most people, unless you literally just have like some sort of chemical imbalance, a lot of us have our anxieties become worse because of life experiences and because of what's going on around the world. It's hard to not feel anxious and scared about what's going on, you know? There's so many dangers in the world around us. So it can become really easily to kind of like it can become really easy to fall into these like moments of despair and just feel paralyzed by it. I have 6 of Swords here. And so this for me, like you can see if they're going through across the water, this for me is a really tough transition. And you can see here that there is an escape. So what I'm getting here is that like this intense fear that we're having and just like overall like just disappointment. I'm getting a really heavy sense of just disappointment in general with things. And I feel like that is also adding to this like fear, like maybe you're having to let go of the way that you thought that things were just going to be, like how you thought that your life was going to be, and you're having to let that go. And we're kind of like transitioning into this like different aspect. I do have curiosity on this card. So maybe there's a bit of us that's like, okay, well, what can this new world look like, right? And so I think we need to manifest a little bit and not be so afraid about things that are out of our control, and try to figure out like what we can do to be helpful to not only ourselves, but to other people, right? In this like really like difficult time that we have going on. I have I have 4 of Pentacles here. Greed and control. So of course that's what we're dealing with, like the energy that we're dealing with. And I have, yeah, that goes right under that disappointment. So we're really disappointed in people who are kind of showing their true colors and showing that they're actually really like greedy and controlling people. And they're very possessive over finances and material gains. You know, these are people who would rather watch the whole world burn than, you know, give a starving child a meal. You know what I mean? So whenever we're dealing with these people, I can definitely sense that there's like this intense despair that comes with it, and just overall disappointment in people. And I feel like maybe you know some people too that have disappointed you, and it's maybe that's part of what's making you feel like frozen right now. It's just like the fact that there's like more people than you thought like that out in the world currently, and it's really making you like question humanity and maybe even questioning spirit. I have, wow, 8 of Cups here. Rejection, restart, release, and then another sign of transition. Saturn and Pisces, wow, that's my placement. And I'm in my Saturn return right now, so if you're close to my age, 30, you're also going through your Saturn return. Definitely learn more about it if you've never heard about it before. So that 8 of Cups, that's walking away. You know, we had the 5 of Cups, which is despair and disappointment. This is walking away from something that's no longer serving us. And it includes that like greedy aspect that we're dealing with people. So I definitely feel like there's like a triangle there, right? The disappointment of how greedy people actually are. So now having to like walk away from it. And I do get this there's like a big movement right now that's just like to reject these ideas of like greed and like causing pain, because what many of us who are like light people, many of us who don't give into the darkness and don't buy into greed and control and possessiveness and wanting to harm and hurt other people, we know that it goes nowhere. We know because we can like see it happening, you know. It doesn't help anybody. You know, I go online and I see people, you know, talking about like this like, you know, taking over the world with these like specific ideals. And these are ideals that have been shut down repeatedly throughout history. They've made some progress, but they continually get these pushbacks because it's wrong. It's wrong morally, it's wrong for humanity. And they continuously get that message, hey, this is wrong, but they continue to perpetuate it anyways. They won't do generational trauma, right? Total world domination and destruction, then just go to therapy, right? That's what we're dealing with. These are people we're dealing with. So rejecting that entire like way of life is what a lot of us are dealing with right now. But it's also like causing fear, because it's like there's that worry that it's like, are that many people around us like that? And it's so difficult to like compartmentalize that. That's another reason of why like I've been doing a little bit more of like local community help and stuff, is because I want to get to know my community, and I want to know there are people around me that see me as a human being. So that might be part of like what you have to do too, because part of this card too is like, are you missing out on meeting new people, meeting, having new opportunities? You know what I mean? Like, are you missing out on those things because you're just like so afraid? And like I said, I feel like this message is for me too, because like I want to go to like town halls and school board meetings and stuff, but I'm worried that I'll go and I'll be surrounded by people who don't think that I'm a human being. So, you know, like, so I'm sure a lot of you guys are also dealing with this aspect of just like overall like disappointment in the people around you and like what they're doing. And I have here 10 of Cups. So this is what we want. This is the future that we see for ourselves. And rejecting the greed and possessiveness and control brings us closer to that reality. like I don't even have anything for the other side of that, because it's just not even an option. Like, we're not going to give into that reality because it's one that doesn't serve us, and not necessarily because we're on the weaker end of the totem pole. A lot of us are, but it's also just like, it just doesn't work. Like I said, it's just like repeatedly throughout history been a rejected mindset. It's lost and lost and lost. Sure, they might have like made conquering, and they might have had a lot of bloodshed and done all these things to people, and really caused like worldwide global devastation that we still continue to see to this day. But by and large, repeatedly, as these groups uprise and get too powerful, it falls repeatedly over and over and over again. So, because it's not viable. It's not viable for humanity or the world. So what we need is that 10 of Cups energy. We need to get there. Like, that's like where this transition is that we want to see. And we're not going to be able to get there if we're paralyzed, right? So we need to work with other people and build that community together to also reassure each other that we have a community. And a lot of these people turn to these ideals because they do feel so abandoned. They're not necessarily our responsibility, like on an individual level, but as in like a spiritual, like overall level of like, we need to work together to rebuild humanity. That's where like these community aspects come in. I've been thinking about this recently too, about like if we bring more power to the communities in general, like at a, smaller scale, if these people don't fit in with the community mindset, and then they're not able to rely on a more like, bigger structure to kind of like cover their living costs and things, because the people who are against these programs are the people who are benefiting the most from the programs, right? So if we're able to build this community where we help each other and take care of each other, if there are communities that are built on destruction, they're not going to have those resources to really help each other. So those people are going to start missing out. So they're going to start to become obsolete to society at large. So that's really something we need to work towards, is to continue to transition into this more community mindset so we can build that 10 of Cups world. I have here Knight of Swords. Be brave, direct, become an activist, try to be as outgoing as you can. I'm also an introverted person. I have social anxieties. I understand that it's difficult, but whenever we go out and we connect with people, like, we can be surprised by the results we get from it. You know what I mean? And so I really get this feeling that we need to really continue to connect with each other. I know I've already said it over and over again, so I'm not going to keep going on about that. But that card for me was just another affirmation, especially underneath that 6 of Swords where they're crossing over the water. That with the 10 of Cups tells me that like we're crossing over into a better world. I keep on saying the New World Order is ours, right? So we're crossing over into that, and we're going to do it bravely. We're going to be direct, and we're not going to stop until we have liberation for people. We have 3 of Wands here. So the way that we're going to have to kind of like attack this like greedy mindset and the fact that we're rejecting it is going to be expanding people's thoughts and horizons. A lot of people call these like limited and restricted beliefs freedom of thought, but that's because everything that this like group is branding and packaging is all about freedom, when it is actually the direct opposite. They continue to say that, and they continue to perpetuate that. So if we continue to expand people's minds and teach them more, then we're going to see more growth and more progress. I think that we need to continue to just like teach people. I saw someone online that they weren't allowed to teach Black studies in Black history in their class anymore. So they went and they did like a class that was just open to the public, and a bunch of people came. And I think we need to see more of that. I wanted to do something like that myself, but I'm not a teacher, and there's only so many things I can do. The best I can offer is like writing and reading, and so I was thinking about maybe a book club or something. But you each have your own like things that you can bring to the table. And so that's what's going to be important, is to continue to expand people's minds. So if you have knowledge to share, or if you have some sort of like, talent or something like that you want to share with other people, this will be your time, and that'll be your way to kind of like build this community with other people and make sure that people are like empowered, and like continue to progress. I have 7 of Pentacles here. So we need to really start investing into this and planting the seeds. 7 of Pentacles is whenever you really like, I don't know how to say it actually, to plant the seeds. I have diligence, investment, and hard work. So we're going to invest in our future with these things, right? And I have that between the 10 of Cups and between the Eight of Cups, so that like rejection and restart, we're going to use this time to plant the seeds for the future. So we can have that 10 of Cups energy, you know what I mean? Where we are taking care of each other and liberating each other and working towards a more progressive future. I have Justice here, and that's going to be over that Knight of Swords card. And so that tells me that that push that we're giving, that like bravery, directness, activism, all of that is going to be to invoke justice into what's going on, and being able to kind of like push back to these forces of greed and control and possessiveness. Oh, I had another thought connected to this. Oh, I was going to say Knight with the Knight of Swords. So like Knight can be kind of like a student almost, and then Swords is intellectual and communication. And so putting those with this as well, it's going to be also a reminder that we're kind of still at the start of this. You know what I mean? We still have a lot to learn, and it's okay to learn new things, and it's okay to like make mistakes and have like drawbacks and things that are happening, because these are long-term goals. And we can't let the setbacks stop us. You know, we can't get to a point of like total like despair, like how we sometimes feel because of what happened. And we can't become frozen either, right? That was the whole central point of this reading, right? Fearlessness. We need to be fearless whenever it comes to protecting these different things for people. So yes, that is the end of reading for group 2. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. We're going to put the cards away. If you're watching this whole video just because you want all the messages, nothing really interesting is going to happen except me drinking a little bit more water. Okay. Group 2, we have Hummingbird, and it represents joy. The things I wrote here is, my joy is the gateway to a life of abundance, right? That was the affirmation we had. And then they move quickly because they are certain, and positive vibrations attract people. Ignore greed, jealousy, or comparison, and appreciate what you have. That's what I have for that, for experiencing and pushing out joy. So what I have here is 10 of Cups. Oh, this is awesome. It showed up in our last reading as well. So if you're watching both readings, this is a double confirmation. So 10 of Cups is kind of like that, that life we want to see. I definitely get the feeling that you believe in this for the future. You believe that there's going to be a time period where we have peace and liberation, and you want to continue to work for that. You know, I have Ace of Cups. This could be a new relationship in your life, but it could also just be a new emotional aspect that you're exploring right now. Especially whenever it comes to this like peaceful energy. I'm getting for some people that you are maybe actually opening up a new relationship and it feels like everything you've ever wanted it to be. So I'm getting that aspect. Part of me, the human part of me, says to always be wary, but I'm getting positive energy from this reading here for sure about this aspect for you. For others, let's dig a little deeper into what exactly we want this future to look like that we're thinking about here. Because we're looking at certainty and joy, right? I have 3 of Cups. This has to do with like making friendships and being close to people and feeling like you really have like a solid community around you. That's with that 10 of Cups. So I think that that might be something that you can really see for your future, is having this like group of friends that really understand you. And maybe you already have it. Maybe you're like, yeah, I've got my friends, like we're good. You know what I mean? Like, you like, you're like definitely exuding that energy. And the communication here is emotional, you know. I also have like expansion as well in this direction. Bliss, wish granted. This is a really positive reading so far. I have 4 of Swords here. And so this is your sign to definitely like take some time to meditate, and that you're waiting on something. So I do get this feeling that this is something that you want to happen. You want to have this like really positive world for the future where there is a like close community that like works together, and like, you know, you have like your group of friends and stuff like that. And you might be working towards this already, but I definitely get the feeling that you might need to put more work into manifestation. I have Jupiter here twice. And so I think that that for you is expansion. You know what I mean? So I think that you taking the moment to rest and maybe manifest a little bit more is going to like really have like positive results. I have 7 of Wands here. Inspiring is one of the terms that it has there. But whenever I see 7 of Wands, I think of like, you've worked hard to get to where you are right now, so you're ready to defend it. Because he looks like he's ready to fight people off, right? So I get this from people who have dealt with like maybe abusive relationships or something like that. And so you're ready to protect the boundaries that you've established from these experiences that you've had. There's also that connection there with Ace of Cups. So whatever this new relationship or new emotional aspect of yourself is, it has to do with protecting your energy. That's very important to you. And so I think that if you are feeling challenged with that, that might be also a moment to step back with that 4 of Swords and meditate on what's going on and really think about it. If somebody, like you have this like, you know, this ideal of this like world where things are great and you have a really great community and your friendships are like booming and stuff. So if somebody comes into that situation and they just like start messing with the balance, then you're going to know that that's not for you. So, and so I think that that will be the test really, is like if this person respects your boundaries or not, you know? And then I have the Chariot. So this could represent a person who is a Cancer, but this could also represent just a driving force forward. I have apathy here though. Conquest, movement, action, initiative, with that Ace of Cups and that defense here. And so, connects understanding to strength. So I definitely get the feeling that this is reminding you just to remember where you've come from and remember to protect your boundaries and protect your energy against anybody who comes in. For sure. I'm getting that. We have 2 of Wands, discovery, future, planning, making decisions. 2 of Wands for me also means like always looking elsewhere. And so I get the feeling, because I'm putting it over this like 3 of Cups and this 4 of Swords here, that I feel like the way that this interacts with each other is, did I say already 2 of Wands is like always looking somewhere else, always looking for something different. I think that's what I was trying to articulate right there. So I think that's also important for this like meditative energy that I'm getting from this reading as well. Whenever it comes to your friendships, you know, like definitely you're discovering new friends, you're making great connections, but you also need to make sure to take time to yourself to kind of like recenter yourself so that you're not like, what like that 7 of Wands energy, you know what I mean? Like make sure that you're still protecting your boundaries and you're still protecting your peace, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to be really good friends with every person that you meet, you know what I mean? Like that person needs to like mirror like what it is that you want out of life. And so if you find yourself hanging out with somebody and they're starting to show like questionable, like the red flags are coming up, take some time to like kind of separate and figure out like where you are boundary wise. And like that 2 of Wands, like always looking is what I'm getting, is I feel like you're looking for your soulmate and you want them to be in people so bad, you know, like, so you meet a new friend and you want to like latch on to that person, or you get into a new relationship and you want to latch on to that person, but you've already learned that it doesn't work. And that's why you're in the 7 of Wands, like protect your boundaries, protect your energy, like aspect of your life at this point, is because you've learned that that doesn't work. So this 2 of Wands is just kind of your reminder. And that's all it is. It's just a reminder. I don't think it's telling you that you're in danger. I think it's just reminding you that, that you don't always have to be searching for that. Soulmates come into your life whenever they're meant to, you know, you don't always have to chase them. And I can understand it too. I used to have like a really close friend. I considered her one of my best friends. And I did feel like we had a soulmate connection. And I do think that we did have a karmic relationship because I think we both learned things from our relationship and how it fell apart. But whenever that friendship ended, I had a difficult time making friends with new people because I felt like I was trying to replace her almost. I wanted that connection with somebody new, just like how we could read each other's minds, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. Like I really wanted that like deep connection with somebody else, but you can't force it. And latching on to new people just like puts you in like weird situations, you know? So you really just have to be with yourself, and you'll make new friends and you'll meet new people when the time is right for you. I have 5 of Wands reversed. So this is avoid conflict, tension release, respecting differences. And so I get here with the boundaries and the meditation that every time that you see these red flags, definitely take a moment to take a step back and kind of like figure out how you feel about it. Avoid conflict, I would usually see as like maybe a negative, like maybe you do need to like talk to people about stuff, but I feel like in this situation it means more of like, don't blow up, don't jump to the worst conclusion right away just because you've been hurt in the past. You have this desire to protect yourself so much because you have come really far and you have gone through these like difficult karmic relationships that have taught you a lot about life. So I think this is like, try not to like blow up on people, you know what I mean? And try not to make something bigger than it is. You have like this tension inside of you that needs to be released. So you need to like take the time to analyze what exactly that is and maybe take some rest, you know? And then respecting differences is also a really big one here with this aspect of like a different relationship is like, if you guys don't agree on something, that might not necessarily be a red flag. Y'all just don't agree. It depends on what it is, of course. You know what I mean? Like if it's something that's like detrimental to your life, sure. But if it's like they don't like pineapple on pizza, relax. You know what I mean? It's not a red flag. And then I have 8 of Swords reversed. Inner critic, open to new perspectives, freedom. So I feel like you used to be in like a mental, I'm gonna say like a mental prison. And you've worked really hard to get out of it, is what I'm getting. So you have this like new energy to kind of move forward. I have it with that Chariot card and then also the 7 of Wands. And so I feel like those boundaries you've developed over time has come from you escaping that situation that you were in. So I think that overall this reading is still very positive and it's telling you that you're in a good place right now and you can trust yourself. That's really what I'm getting with that Ace of Cups now that we've completed the reading. I was like, for some of you guys, you're entering into a new relationship. For other people, it's maybe just a new emotional aspect. But this Ace of Cups is telling me, like, now that we've completed the reading, that you can feel more confident. Like, you have worked to establish these boundaries. You're doing a better job of catching red flags, you know? The only thing you might still need is the practice of meditating with yourself a little bit and asking yourself like, okay, how valid is my upset over this? You know what I mean? And just like settling yourself down, maybe talk to somebody who can give you an objective point of view. Like you trust this person to be objective with you and internalize that, you know what I mean? So that you don't feel like you're flying off the handle over something small because you just are really worried about your peace being disturbed, you know? But I think that you are moving in a very positive direction. I feel like those cards were just reminders, but overall this is like a really good reading and you're overall a positive person is what I've also gotten from this reading as well. So I think that it's good to believe in yourself and continue to listen to your intuition. So that's all I have for this reading. Thanks for watching.